All right, let me go over here and grab my corn seed. Here we go. This is all the corn plant we're going to do this year. All right, what do y'all say we get this started? I think I need to lower my depth another notch. And there goes Andy with his little meat buggy. No need for residuals when you got this amount of biomass on the ground. Well, yeah, it's definitely out, mainly because my seed cup here caught a lot of the seed. We got some catching up to do. Well, so much for an easy, trouble-filled day.
So I've determined that it is coming from one of these 5 hoses right here. Right in this area is where all the oil was coming from. Nothing over there that splashed, so it's either this one, this one, this one, or this one. Can't really tell because it's still dripping, but clean it up as best I can. But look,
Fire it up and see where it's coming from.
spray at this point.
I'm gonna try to stay hidden behind the shield because I don't want to get sprayed. Oh! There's not a hose at all. It looks like a blown O-ring on this cap up here.
Is it the top one or that little thing?
It's coming out of this cap right here.
What now?
So, blown O-ring. All right, thank goodness. That ought to be easy enough. All right, no, y'all can't tell if that O-ring right there is split. That's likely the source of our problem. So, hopefully replace it. It'll dry up. All right, start it up again.
Oh, Lord Jesus. No.
All right, no oil spewing out anywhere. Good to go. Oh, thank goodness, I was scared this was a little done. I was literally scared to death it was one of those hoses going to the wheel drive motors, because Kelly texted me, said I had a big hydraulic hose bust, and I got a couple of those that's a little on the questionable side. Just hadn't had time to replace them yet, and those things are a pain in the rear. So I'm so thankful all it was a really easy to replace O-ring. Hopefully that's the end of our problems for today. Back to the field, keep sinking some more seed in the ground. All right, something else I want to talk about. I kind of alluded to it in previous years, but you see how rolling this farm is. You know, this farm is not the worst farm that we've got, but it's not far from it. When my dad bought this farm in the early 70s, he said that it was so eroded, it had some gullies so big on this farm that you could park a 2-row cotton picker in the bottom of one of them and not even see the top of the basket. And anyway, when he bought this farm, did a ton of work with a bulldozer, filling in the gullies, building a lot of terraces, building a lot of silt basins. But by that point, a lot of the topsoil had already been lost, and then we still continue to farm it conventionally by plowing the ground for another 25 years after that, just further increasing the amount of erosion that we've got on this farm. And as a result, a lot of spots of this farm, we just don't have much topsoil. And if you remember back when Dr. Murdoch visited our farm and we probed another highly eroded farm, we only saw about 3 to 4, maybe 5 inches of topsoil before we got to the fragipan, which is not really penetrable by roots. Very difficult for moisture, roots, everything else to get down below that layer. And well, this farm is another prime example of it, just because all the topsoil had been lost over decades of plowing the ground. And anyway, for the last, about 25 years, this farm has been no-tilled, and then, it's been cover crop for 10 years, and we've done a really good job of restoring productivity of the soil, but still the bottom line is we don't have a lot of topsoil, and therefore the productivity is not as good on this farm as what it is other farms. But because this farm is so variable, you see we got a ridge right here that's highly eroded, then we got a valley on the other side where a lot of that soil washed to. This ridge is not very productive at all, but this valley right in front is definitely a lot more productive. If we were to put the same seeding rate on both of these areas right here, we would probably hurt yields on both areas, because on the eroded knob that we just went across, we would have too high of a seeding rate, and there's just not enough resources to support all those corn plants. But right down here where it's a lot more productive, we probably wouldn't have enough seed to be able to utilize the resources that it's got, and hurting yield there. So about 12 years ago on our other planter, we added some equipment to be able to allow us to variable rate plant the seeds. That means that we can adjust the planting rate as we go throughout the field. When we get to productive areas, we can bump the population up a lot higher, and then when we get to non-productive areas, places that are really limited on water holding capacity, we can dial the population down a lot, so we don't waste seed, but also the seed that we put out there has a greater chance of being productive. Now, adjusting this seeding rate, we don't have to manually do it. We can do it if we want to, but in the winter we build prescriptions on our desktop software to automatically assign a specific seeding rate to every part of the field. And then if we expand this right here, you can see the entire field. Now this is my population map, and over here we got the legend, and we've got seeding rates anywhere from 30,000 seed per acre down to 16,000 seeds per acre on this farm. The darker the green, the higher is the seeding rate, and then the orange and reds are the real lower seeding rate. You can see, like right here, there's almost no topsoil right there, so we're just putting out 16,000 seeds per acre. But then this flat that we just went through, you can see here's the ridge, this kind of light green to yellow, and then here's the flat where all the topsoil washed down to, which is the darker green. The lighter green is about 23, maybe 24,000 seed per acre, and then the darker green, you're probably looking at about 28,000 seeds per acre. But you can see right there, as we go throughout the field, you see how it's been changing. Now let me show you what my actual prescription looks like. There. Let it load here. All right, here's our actual planting prescription that we made on the computer. You see all those different rates. Now on to your next question. Well, how exactly do you determine how many seed per acre you plant in a specific spot? Well, we got multiple different factors. A lot of it is my knowledge of the land, and being over so many times farming for so many years, I know what kind of yield each spot is capable of supporting. And then we also got to take a look at the variety, because each variety is going to have its own characteristics about, is it a fixed ear or is it a flex ear? What's the optimal population for that variety under different circumstances? And then the third thing is what is our yield history on this farm? That's how we build our prescriptions. We take all of our yield maps that we've accumulated, and we run it through the program called a multi-year yield analysis, and then it sees distinct trends among the yield maps. Where's your highest yielding spots in the field and where are your lowest yielding spots of the field. And then after it runs through that, then I can go through, assign my calculator, and say, well, if this spot is, you know, got an average yield, you know, we can apply 25,000 seeds per acre, or if this spot is low, you know, 16,000 per acres, or if this is a really high yielding spot, well then, you know, maybe, you know, 30,000 seeds per acre. And I actually did a video on this several years ago. It's under How Farm Stuff Works, and I think it's called like How to Create Variable Rate Prescriptions. And then I did another video on how planter technology works, on, you know, how the planter then takes that prescription and then applies it going through the field. And then another question a lot of other farmers probably got, well, those seeding rates seem pretty dang low. You know, why are you only putting out, you know, 30,000 in your better spots? Shouldn't you be able to put, you know, 33, 35, 36,000 seeds per acre? I could if I was on 30-inch rows. I'm on 38-inch rows, so that really limits the top end of what I can put out on seed, because at 30,000 plants per acre on 38-inch rows is giving us a seed spacing of, I believe, 5 inches. That means we got 5 inches in between seed. And what I found out is that with our weather, hot, humid, potentially dry down here in West Tennessee, you get any closer than 5 inches between seeds, then you run the real risk of having barren plants that don't produce any ears. So anyway, we've been doing this long enough that every year when I create a seeding prescription, I save that specific calculator onto our software, and then 3 years later when I go back to plant corn again, I've got a real good baseline of how that calculator, how that seeding rate performed with the variety that I planted, and then I look at the variety that I want to plant that year, and then all I have to do is just tweak that calculator just a little bit to you know, modify it to the characteristics of that particular variety. Now when it comes to populations, we're not shooting for the moon on very top yields. What I found out with you know, our limited ability to store water on our farms, I have lost more yield by pushing planting populations and then having conditions that don't allow me to achieve maximum yield than what I've lost by not planting enough seed and then losing out on top end yield potential because we don't have enough plants per acre out there. Because you know, to get those top end yields on with maximum population, you really need a lot of things to go right, a lot of things that you can't control, and it's far more likely that you're going to have problems throughout the year, whether it's weeds, weather, or whatnot, that's going to take the top end off of the yield. So and if we're really shooting for the moon with high populations, you know, for the most part, we will be wasting money that we really will only maybe realize a return on our investment, you know, maybe 2 to 3 years out of every 10 years. So the far greater likelihood is that we will be more profitable by shooting for moderate populations that give us the greatest chance of success. So anyway, that just kind of gives you just a little insight of what actually goes into planting corn, you know, being high tech, giving the resources that you put out, giving them the greatest chance of success. There's been a whole lot of advancements in the last 20 years that allow us to be very extremely site specific on everything we do. And you know, there's some technologies out there that don't really pay. They're not worth the cost. You can't utilize the benefit. But the variable rate planting for us, just because we have such incredibly variable fields, is one of the technologies that I really believe pays big dividends for us. I got over here on the back side of the Ellington farm, and you can tell that there ain't no burn down strips down through there. That's just nothing but solid cover crop. We got right down to the very end of spraying burn down. It got the end of the day, and I got the front half of the farm done, but some was about to go down, so didn't get this. I can't remember what else we were having to get started. I think it's chicken litter or something. You know, we had to get started on something else. I was like, oh, that cover crop ain't too hot. I'm not gonna worry with doing burn down strips on the back half. And Kind of wishing I had now. Looking at my down pressure map, it's definitely taking more down pressure because we got so many roots to cut through, and that stuff's obviously a whole lot thicker than what I thought. It's off to the races. Putting a lot of carbon back into that soil, and that's a quick way to raise organic matter, get the fertility back on the soil. Hey, I wish I had an extra person out here. I could get that roller crimper out and lay this down. It'd look beautiful. All right, we are done planting corn in Crockett County. Time to head up to Madison County, our higher yielding ground. And it's time to bring out the big guns. Not only big potential yield, but most definitely a big price tag. Decab 6835, brand new variety that really showed out big in test plots last year, and it's got a premium price tag to go along with it. This corn seed here, for one bag, 80,000 kernels, this thing cost me $325. I never thought we'd see $300 corn seed down here, let alone $325 corn seed. I mean, it was only like 5, maybe 6 years ago, we was paying, I don't know, $220 to $240 a bag. Not only have we surpassed the $300 per bag range, we've done it in a big way. We got some really high yielding bottoms. We're gonna try it out. Notice we don't have that much because I'm not gonna pay a whole heck of a lot of money for corn seed, but I do want to test it out, see if it's worth the extra price tag. So we're gonna do McClary's and Sharps with 6835, and then for our refuge in that is Pioneer 1870R. This is going to be significantly cheaper, but it's been a good variety for us for years. So, and it's one of only 2 refuge varieties from Pioneer. So we got 10 bags total. Going to split up between 12 units and hit the road, make tracks for Madison County. All right, well, we finally made it up here to Madison County, got loaded up, and made up here to McClary's. And I love to plant this whole field in corn, but I can't. Got the landlord's houses right here. And the first year we planted corn on this farm, like 2003 or whatever, had like gigantic 12-foot tall corn all out here surrounding their houses. And they mentioned that they would prefer us not to plant corn in front of their houses again because it turned their houses and yards into basically a sauna that summer because it was surrounded by corn, got absolutely no airflow. So we're planting this little patch in here right by the road where our entrance is in corn. So when we come here and harvest, we got a place to park trucks or whatever. Then we're going to plant those small fields around their house in cotton. And then back behind their houses in the other fields, we're going to plant corn back there. And you're probably asking, well, why don't you just plant the whole field in cotton? Well, because this field's got a ton of small fields with tall tree lines around all of them, and cotton just does not do that well. It'll do a little bit better next year planted behind this corn, but this year it wouldn't do well at all. And hopefully next spring I'll have a chance to get a track hoe, go around this farm stripping limbs and kind of getting the tree lines back to where cotton would do better. But in the meantime, we're going to leave this field out, this little field over here out, and then this field, little field out right beside that house right there. Well, you can't beat that precision planting accuracy right there. Can't get no better than 100%. No skips and hardly any multiples right there. I'd say we got our meters dialed in pretty dang good. Of course, having large round seed helps a whole lot on seed metering accuracy. All right, surprise, surprise. Woke up this morning to a half inch, an inch in the rain gauge, and it's after lunch now. Wind's been blowing. We have a little bit of intermittent sunshine, and this ground might be a little tacky in places, but it's pretty dang solid. One of the big benefits of cover crops during the spring, drying your ground out quickly after you get a rain. And I do believe we might be the only planter in this area running today. If you look here at my neighbor's field, it's already been planted. He's actually got beans up. But see, it's pretty squishy right there. That'd be mighty heavy and tacky to plant into. Probably make a big mess of your planter. But fortunately, we got a lot of crops pulling moisture out of the ground, going to allow us to plant. But we finished up with that 6835 last night, and we're about to go to the Big P right now. I got some Pioneer on here, and this whole farm was going to be perhaps what's been my most favorite variety of all time, Pioneer 1464. But my Pioneer rep called me a few weeks ago, said he had another variety he wanted us to test out. He gonna bring us some free seed. I'm like, corn seed costs about $100 an acre. I ain't gonna turn down free seed. He brought me a bunch of these test plot bags, which are half-size bags. Try a brand new variety, 1377. So we got about the equivalent of 6 full bags here. Probably cover somewhere in ballpark of 17 acres. $100 an acre, $1,700. Now, I don't know if this variety is going to yield as much as the variety I paid for, and that's kind of where you get a problem with getting free seed, test plot seed, is that in some cases you actually make more profit by paying for the high price seed just because of the extra yield you get. But at current corn prices, it's going to take almost a 25 bushel per acre difference between varieties for the free seed to actually be more expensive than what the paid seed is. So I feel pretty confident they wouldn't have given it to me that if it wasn't a really good potential variety, and I doubt that there's going to be 25 bushels yield difference in there. But we're going to start off, we're going to throw this in the planter first, try and plant about 17 acres of this 100-acre farm, and then of course we'll keep track of it in our monitor on our software and keep tabs of it going throughout the year. And then once the combine gets here, I'll be able to look on my yield map, see if it's better, worse, comparable, or whatnot, and know from there. And then after we get that planted out, like I said, we're gonna go back. We got 36 bags of 1464, and then we got a refuge decab 6593, just because Pioneer doesn't have a early season refuge that I really like, so we're going to use a decab for our refuge on this farm. But anyway, we done lost about half a day. We're gonna get this sucker loaded up as quick as we can, start getting some seed in the ground. Who knows, more rain might come tonight. I know for sure rain gonna be coming probably Monday afternoon, and we want to get as much of this seed in the ground as possible before then. All right, we got the first 20 acres planted and got that new Pioneer variety run out, and I just want you to look at just how clean my planter is after getting a half inch of rain last night. Not a speck of mud on it anywhere. Got just a little bit of buildup on my closing wheels, but nothing bad at all. If we was over there in a no-till condition, we'd have a major wash job on our planter if we was even able to plant at all. That's just how much these cover crops really allow us to get back in the field after a rain, either infiltrating this moisture down through the ground and then taking it out too, and losing it to transpiration into the atmosphere. So these cover crops, I mean, they're buying us at least an extra half a day of planting, if not more. So we're gonna get this variety loaded planter, get back on the road. Come on, Hercules. Lift with your legs. Oh! I thought you had a conversation with Todd about getting some light bags.
Those are very heavy. Come on, Andy.
Got another big seeded variety here.
We don't need no This is good gin.
I don't think we're gonna fit 3 bags in these hoppers.
Ooh,
You want to arm wrestle tonight?
I think I'd win.